Welcome to episode 6 of a D5 football podcast. This week we're joined by Matt Winter of Woking, who's the goalkeeping coach there and for the academy as well. A bit of a different one from how we previously do it. Last ones we've done have always been with players and going through the career, but this week it's going to be a bit different in the way we do it. It's not going to be as chronological, if you like, although there is still bits of Woking we're going to talk about. We're going to be asking about obviously his time at Woking and just general questions about sort of goalkeeping and coaching. And now we got into doing what he does. So first question we always ask, how'd you get into football?
Well, first of all, thanks for having me on. Probably like many or majority of people in football now, just playing as a kid, grassroots. It was, just say from the age of 6 to age of 7, I'm just playing for local teams. Like many, flitted in and out of academies, trials here and there. And then sort of by the age of 16, was playing at a good level, still grassroots, but a good level of the sort of area that I was living, which was Woking, and then became part of the academy at Woking at 16. So so very much just like most, grew up in local grassroots teams. As I say, spent a little bit of time at some professional academies, just mainly on sort of trials and things like that. Back then, as an outfield player, playing mainly as a striker, and probably when I was about 13, decided that I didn't want to be a striker anymore, and I wanted to play in goal, and that it sort of came from there. Played in goal for say 2 or 3 years as a grassroots player, and then then got an opportunity with Woking as a player in their academy system.
So we sort of joked about this before in the messages when I first contacted you. You said you've not really had much of a career. Obviously now you're a goalkeeping coach, and you said you were a striker playing outfield, moved to goalkeeping. So that changed for you then. Through your career, you've had somewhat of a playing career, obviously playing even if it's not sort of national level or anything like that. Yeah,
for sure. I mean, I say about 13 decided that I wanted to play in goal, and I enjoyed playing in goal. So, took that route. So signed at Woking at 16, was there for 2 years. It was an enjoyable time. It was my local team, and I enjoyed every minute of being involved around the academy, and probably didn't push on as much as I could have, and that's maybe not a regret now, but I would maybe was quite comfortable there, and it was quite apparent at the end of 2 years that I wasn't going to progress my career where I maybe thought I could do. So that's when I decided that maybe I could still play, but also obviously got to look for something a little bit different, be a little bit open-minded, and sort of wanted to stay in sport. That's when I thought maybe at first about the coaching, and I was lucky to be accepted onto a coaching degree, where I really found my sort of not love, but the enjoyment of coaching and being on the pitch and working with players and learning stuff that maybe I knew football, but learning the other side of coaching and whatnot. So that's really what came up. I knew I wasn't gonna go anywhere with the playing side, so it was sort of, how can I stay in football, because that football is a thing that I love, and how can I stay in that and hopefully get a career in the coaching side of things.
So from what I could see then, you said you're from Woking or around the area of Woking, and we're in their academy and stuff like that. And then you've obviously done working with some of these other companies and stuff like that, and it was at uni. And then you got involved with Woking's academy, goalkeeping coaching, if I'm right, which obviously you're still with now, but you're also with the first team. So on the academy, how did you get involved with that then? And I guess also for your sort of hometown team, if you're from Woking, that'd be sort of nice thing to do.
Yeah, I think I saw an advert one day that they were advertising for a goalie coach. I knew they had one or a couple in, and I knew their first team goalie coach was very separate from the academy. I saw an advert one day, and it was the academy manager was coming in, a new academy manager, and he was looking for. So I had a chat with him, and we got on, and we sort of had similar ideas, and that was how quickly it sort of started, really. Working with from under 9s all the way through to sort of the under 18s, under 23. So it was sort of quite a big role. Obviously, we're outside the EFL, so we're not a category academy. We have a centre of excellence which runs from under 9s to under 16s, and they train now they train twice a week. Back then they trained once a week. And then we had our full-time academy program, which run from under 18s to 23s college students. So I was working with them sort of 3 or 4 times a week. So yeah, it was obviously my foot in the door working at a club, being my hometown club, a club that I used to go and watch growing up was great. So, and got in with, say Scott, who he still is the academy manager, and he gave me that opportunity. I'm grateful for that because it allowed me to sort of go in and, by then I was ready for that opportunity to go in and sort of stamp my authority or start doing things my way and how I felt the goalies should be coached or how we should set things up. And, quickly I was given that sort of license to do that. So, that was great for me.
And so you obviously said it's a bit different because you're having to work with players that the club would come through and that type of thing. And you said, what was it, under 9s until under 18s, whatever. So it's quite a very different age range of players you're dealing with. Some are very small, obviously, and massive, whatever. So you'll have been working with all those different groups. What's the, I'm trying to figure out how to say this, but what's the sort of differences? Also, if you've been doing it for 10 years and you coached them from when they were 9 until, let's say, they were 19 or whatever, then you can sort of, you'd be able to tell me the development of that particular group or whatever. But from you going between each group, every week or whatever, training them or whatever and doing whatever, what is the general difference between coaching at under 9s until coaching up at under 18s? Because they're massively different physically or whatever, so they're going to need coaching different things. So what would you say the biggest difference is?
Well, I say first thing I did really when I come in, it was lucky. Being a local coach and working in the surrounding area before, we were able to look at our recruitment of goalkeepers, and I had quite a good idea of the best local goalies around because we were working with them, outside in goalkeeper centres. So, we moved goalies into age groups that we thought needed to be improved, and that's part of the academy model. Obviously, bringing in the best local talent that we can. But yeah, there's a massive difference. I mean, the boys that we're getting in at under 9s, under 10s, that need that real technical work and understanding, and that's what sort of we're aiming around in our sort of foundation phase, bringing them in. They came into the club with a desire to be a goalie and an excitement and enjoyment of being in goal, but it was really giving them that fundamental sort of first step in terms of their technical work and improving them technically. And as we build through the age groups, it's then building that tactical understanding of games and their role past making the save or distributing the ball and their role that will generally out of possession, positioning, things like that. That was sort of how we look to things on that technical side of things. But once they're in our under 18s, we feel that they're at a level now where they can go and play against the best under 18s around, and we've got to support their learning still and their development. That we're in with them four times a week. We have 3 or 4 in our under 18s at the minute, and we work as a group, but we work very individually, and they all have things that they need to develop and improve. And a lot of it's based around stuff that's out of possession and in their positioning, communication, once they get into the older age groups. And yeah, look, the main difference is, I say, is working with them younger goalies, giving them that base of technical knowledge and understanding, being able to deal with situations, and then building it up and decision making as they get through the age groups. But yeah, look, the aim for the club is to take someone from under 9s through to the first team. We've got a lad in the under 18s at the minute who joined us at under 11s, so he's doing really well at the moment. He's now in the under 18s. We've got other boys that have come through and done well. But at the minute, since I've been here for the last sort of 5 years, that's the aim, to take someone through. We've got some good goalies in our younger age groups at the minute that we have high hopes for as well. So that's sort of where we are as an academy, as a club, and trying to bring the next goalkeeper through to the first team.
And you've done that for, I think, just about 3 years or whatever with the academy, and then make the move while still doing with the academy, which you're still doing now, to first team and being involved with them. So must be a lot of, like I said, being involved, got your hands full, like I said, where you've got academy, first team, and sort of your own stuff on the side or whatever. Must be your hands full. But how hard is that then with the amount of stuff you've got going? You sort of juggling 3 different things, and does it sort of help you almost that you're so busy that that's the only thing you can think of that you're doing that does sort of push you a bit? Is there pros and cons of being so busy?
Yeah, it's a good busy. The fact the first team aren't full time obviously gives a little bit more time in the day. The academy boys, under 18s, they are pretty much full time. So we're in 4 times a week. So I work with them in the mornings. I spend 2 evenings a week with the first team, plus obviously any games that we have in the week or on the Saturday. And then, the bits I do for myself are sprinkled around the outside of those sorts of things. So my main work is obviously with the club, and I do my extra bits around the outside. But yeah, getting the opportunity to go in with the first team was a great step for me. But I originally went in as a sort of a support and took the step up when the club were sort of full time under a previous manager, and it was a great opportunity for me to learn and understand what was required of the role and what the difference is. The difference working with a first team goalie and supporting them, albeit a young first team goalkeeper at the time. But at the minute, the club have been great to me in terms, and everything fits in at the moment, and I'm able to, work with the under 12s, work with the under 18s, and also work with the first team all on the same day. So, it's a great opportunity for me to, and that's something I love doing. It's when I got the first team job, and a couple of people said, "Oh, you want to carry on with the academy? You're bothered about the academy anymore?" And I said, 100%. That's what gave me the opportunity. I enjoy working with the young goalies, as working with the grassroots goalkeepers away from the football club. So, it's a great balance. It's something that I'd hope I can keep going because it's a great opportunity to, work with all different goalies at different stages of their development.
So now I was talking about the first team. Now, what we'd normally do is we're talking to a player. We sort of say, well, what was it like playing in this game or playing in that? That's a bit of a different sort of experience, but you're still there, sort of involved as well, similar to a manager, although you are involved with the goalkeepers, obviously. So we've got I think right in saying this is your third full season starting now with the first team. So there's still a bit of not exactly sure what the numbers are.
This is the third full season, and as a first team goalie coach officially, and I sort of the year before was involved unofficially for majority of the games. To be fair, just supporting. We had a lone goalkeeper, Nathan Baxter from Chelsea, and they had a goalie coach come in from Chelsea, as they've got loads hanging around. And I just sort of supported them and did a lot of stuff with them on a game day whenever they couldn't get anyone else in. So that was sort of cutting the teeth, I guess, with the first team. But this is my third sort of full season. Last year obviously wasn't a full season, but
So 18-19, I guess, for being involved with the first team, quite a good start to say the least, finishing second and involved with the playoffs. So first about the general season then, as being involved with it, but also as, I guess, as a fan as well, if you grew up in the area, that season, what was that season like? Watching it, but also being involved with it?
Yeah, it was a good season. I come in a little bit not late to the party. It was late in pre-season where I finally managed to sit down with the manager, and he sort of said, we want to have you on board because obviously the previous season the club were relegated and the manager moved on, and we obviously had a new manager in. So, I come in later pre-season and we got off to a really good start. It was very unknown because the manager at the time, walked in and he had no players. It wasn't like he didn't inherit any player at all. So it was a little bit unknown on what we do. I think within the camp we were quietly confident that we put together not a bad squad, but we weren't maybe, thinking that promotion was going to be on the cards. It was something that we felt the club have certainly needed, and certainly the club, shouldn't be in the National League South. But it certainly was a great season. We started really well, and quickly got on to the top of the league, pegged back by Torquay, who were outstanding and worthy winners of the league. We had a couple of spells where we slipped away a little bit, but ultimately, when it mattered, we were able to get ourselves over the line. Playoffs are never easy, and it's never a foregone conclusion that the team that finishes the top of the playoffs is gonna get promoted, and we knew that. we actually put a little bit of a run together, and then lost our last game of the season, which we already knew we were in the playoffs at that time. But yeah, we had a crazy semi-final, and a little bit not easier semi-final, but not so much of a crazy final. But yeah, for me as a fan and as someone who was involved in the team that got relegated, it was it was a great way to end the season. It was I said in the interview when I first joined that I've felt partly to blame because I was involved in the team that got relegated. I played, so to get us back up at the first time of asking was great.
So let's go into the playoffs in a bit more detail, like you touched on. I think they say the semi-final was a bit crazy. Well, first thing we'll touch on, I think, would that be the first season they had the different sort of playoffs, or it might be the second season? I know they've only brought them in recently where they've got 16 playoffs.
Yeah, I think they were the season before. Yeah, I think they may have come in the season before, but yeah, it was a
they're sort of fairly new, and I remember I was researching this last year because I wanted to find out more about them. I don't think there's a league, a football league, that does the playoffs like that. But from what I have seen, it does seem to benefit the teams who finish near the top of that bracket, if you like, more than other ones. I think I was looking at some stats for League Two, National League, League One, and Championship with the 14 playoffs, and it's not. You'd expect generally that the teams who finished first to second within the playoff four would go up, but it's not always the case. I think in League Two or something, it was something like over the 10-year period I looked at, the team that finished seventh, last in the playoffs, went up. So you get that sort of craziness. But for what I've seen with these numbers, it does tend to be the team that gets near the top generally does quite well. And I think that's because the teams near the bottom have to play before that, so maybe they get a bit more tired or whatever. I don't know.
Yeah, sure.
But let's go into detail about the playoffs a bit, because I think this is so. Listening about it sounds pretty crazy to me, even though I wasn't there or watching it. 2-0 down after 20 minutes against Wealdstone. I think they're around that area near sort of London, outside of London area, I think. Yeah. My geography says right. 2-0 down. Must have thought 2-0 down after 20 minutes. Oh no, we've blown it.
I think we knew what they were going to bring. I mean, they finished in one of those bottom playoff places, so they had to play a match previously. And the manager and the assistant manager went to watch them in the week, and they were, they come back with, wow, Wealdstone was superb, and they battered Bath on the day, and if we're not anywhere near our best, we're going to get battered basically, and physically they're going to run all over us, and we were very much aware of the dangers. We played them twice in the league that year and lost both games. We lost away 1-0 early on, and just after Christmas they beat us 2-0 at home, and fair result, to be fair, to beat us 2-0 at home. So we were very aware of what they had, the dangers they had, the players they had that caused us problems. And yet, it was a massive game for the football club, the semi-final, and a big crowd in, and to be 2-0 down after 20 minutes was a little bit deflating, but we knew that they played on the Wednesday before the Sunday. We sort of trained and rested well, and we knew that at some point that would come into play, and it was about staying in the game at that point. They scored from 2 set pieces. They battered us, and it was important at that point. We didn't go to 3 because that really would have been game over, and that was the message at the time. Stay in the game, and we back ourselves that we can come back in some capacity in the second half, and obviously that's sort of what happened.
And then from what I see, 3 goals in the last 15 minutes, including a last minute sort of winner. Was it 94th minute or something crazy like that? Which you never want to go down 2-0 to 20 minutes, but to come back in that fashion and sort of show sort of character of the team as well. And listen, as I said, I keep saying it as a fan because you're a fan, but you're also involved with it, which I think is the ideal thing for any sort of football fan, is to work with their team. Half you must have been thinking, I've got to remain professional, but then half you must have been like a little kid and you're sort of saying, we've done it.
It was, one thing that this manager and all Woking fans and maybe, National League fans will know, that this manager has builds teams that are, that are characters, that are hard workers and never give up. And, and it sounds obvious that teams are like that, but, that's something that's in us. We played at Gloucester earlier in the season that year, and, were heavily favourites to win the game, went 3-1 down with 10 minutes to go and won the game 4-3. And that was the sort of team we were. We were drawing it. We were still going for the league at the time, drawing at Oxford City. We scored a 94th minute goal. So we knew that we had that in our team. We knew that they would tire. We managed to get a goal back. And after that, the momentum really did switch. Substitutions were good. We had some fresh legs, and as I say, that 94th minute winner was, it was a relief. I think, if anything, we were 2-2, and I'll be honest, I was saying to the staff, let's take extra time here. We were, so much fitter than them, and we'd be happy with extra time. But the way the momentum had changed, they were very much, no, let's go, let's try and win this game now. And I think when that goal went in at the end, I think it's it was a relief. I think there was a video from one of the boys in the stand had filmed me, and I ended up 30 yards down the touchline, and it was a little bit of just everything coming out of you. But at the same time, the whistle went, and it was so great, and it was euphoria around the ground, and everyone was buzzing. But then you're quickly brought down to earth again, because that's the semi-final. And you don't want that semi-final to be your final, and you want to be. In a week's time, we knew we had another job to do, and we got a little bit lucky because Shoe was on the other foot, and we were 2-0 up in a semi-final. We'd be absolutely gutted to lose that game. So we knew maybe we got out of jail a little bit, and the first 75 minutes wasn't great, was poor, but the 15 minutes at the end, where we raised it and were able to get them goals was massive. So it was the euphoria of, yes, we've done it. We managed to get through the first hurdle, but quickly brought down to earth because 7 days later there was an even bigger game ahead. And
then, like I said, the final against Welling. A lot of teams with W involved in this, and I'd like to guess where I don't know where they are. Sorry, Welling fans, if you're watching this, I've got no idea where Welling is. Somewhere down south, I know, because it's National League South.
South London, Kent sort of area. Yeah.
There we go. I don't think many Welling fans are watching this, so I can say what I want. But you did that game, won, and you said you'd been involved the season before, but to sort of first full season sort of officially signed on the line or whatever, sort of a promotion. You would have loved it to have been at Wembley, something like that, but it was obviously at that level, it's your home team.
It was a great day. It was obviously the nervousness, knowing that it's 90 minutes of football will decide whether the season has been a success or not. And Welling finished third, so it was second versus third. We played them three times. We beat them at home in the league. We beat them in the FA Cup at home and drew there, and they were 3-1 up with sort of 15 minutes to go, and we managed to nick a point. So we knew it was going to be a tough game. We knew the quality they had, and it was a cagey affair, which I think that was to be expected. Neither team wanted to make any mistakes. Everyone knew what was on the line, and then just we had a bit of a magic moment from Armani with a fantastic free kick that won the game, and fortunately we were able to see that out in the second half. And as I say, it was a great way to finish my first full season. It was getting the club back into the league where we believe maybe not belong, but where we should be competing at a minimum. And what a first season for the management team as a whole. Coming in with at the beginning of the season with no players. Not one player from the relegation season. One was re-signed a bit later on, but literally a clean slate with 5 weeks to go before the start of the season to put a team together that's then go on, and get promoted was a fantastic effort.
So for you to then be involved, I'm just talking general sort of playoffs. I imagine general season. I imagine you sort of give bits of advice. You've done a bit maybe scouting of what this striker does this or what, stuff like that. But I imagine you would have done a lot more preparation for something like a semi-final or a final or whatever. What did you tell your goalkeeper, sort of saying like, this is what what did you tell him? To sort of give him a bit of advice or whatever, and also anything you told him, did any of that come true? Such as, say, for example, you told him, he always shoots to the right or whatever, or something like that, or he always tries this from free kicks or whatever. Then that happened, and you were like, yeah, we got him or whatever. Did anything like that happen?
I think in terms of sort of opposition analysis, I think games that, though it was a playoff semi-final or final, I think things stay the same. We try and do the same sort of research. We played both teams at least twice before, so there was a good understanding sort of what they are. Like I said to you, in terms of the semi-final, we went to, they were watched beforehand. Willstone, we get footage to watch games anyway after they've been played. So, in terms of things to the goalkeeper, really it's just a basic understanding of, types of set pieces that may be coming his way, and that, penalties, anything that, those playoffs could be decided by penalty. So, I spend a lot of time researching penalty takers, because that is obviously a time where, not the pressure on the goalkeeper, but the opportunity for the goalkeeper to be the hero, and any little, one-ups we can get from that, could be massive in the outcome of achieving the season's goals, so to speak. So, in terms of opposition analysis, we do what we normally do. The information we give to the team, and then the information that it may be slightly different that I'll give to the goalkeeper might be a little bit more specific to certain players. But I mean, again, at that level, at Conference South level, the players because you've watched them. But in terms of getting statistics and seeing what their trends do, unless you troll through hours of footage, it's not as easy as maybe a little bit higher up the pyramid, where you can click on a link and get, Mo Salah's last 30 goals, or last 30 penalties, or whatever it's going to be. So, a little bit more digging needs to be done. And I've found lots of ways over the last 3 years of coming up with, so-and-so's last 5 penalties, or, types of goals that this player score, or types of goals that the team score. We'll watch back their last few games, or how they're going to set up and things like that. But yeah, nothing real changed because it was a playoff game. I think important that, I think the players know what's at stake. I think it's important that we treat it like not like any other game. That'd be wrong, but we try and do the normal things.
You mentioned sort of stats and stuff like that, and I think that's sort of similar to what we talked about before about some stats that we put out on our page, which, if you're not familiar, at D5 Football on Twitter, we put out stats on there. Nice little plug. Most people are coming from the Twitter anyway, so that's pointless. But you mentioned sort of the stats and stuff like that. Moving back up then to National League, even not compared to Premier League, it's not a lot, but there's still, I imagine, more stats compared than you'd get in the National League South or National League North or whatever. How have you sort of utilised stats that you've seen? Perhaps even stuff, I don't know, maybe we put out, I don't know. You did mention, like I said, one got put around dressing room, which was quite fun, and that was one that did well. But also the sites that you can buy stats and get a full sort of breakdown or stuff like that, and also videos and stuff like that get put out by the clubs and stuff like that. And what's the difference then for you in terms of your analysis between National League South and National League proper, making that step back up?
Yeah, there is. You've got greater opportunity to look at videos. Videos is a massive thing for myself. I'll watch our game back. I'll watch opposition. Like you'd imagine a lot of clubs do. But obviously, we're a small part-time club. We don't have the opposition scouts. We don't have the analysis or analysts that will do that sort of work for us. So it's very much down to us in maybe our spare time to troll through games and watch things. And I'll spend a morning or a couple of mornings, really, a week, going through upcoming games in opposition. And it might be something simple as penalties, and it might be I can get 3 players last 5 penalties or something like that. We played Barnet last week, and I was able to, the lad who played for them was previously in the Canadian Premier League, and I was able to find his last 5 penalties. And he actually scored a penalty because, I won't say, maybe our goalie didn't do his research that I did for him. But yeah, so it happens. But that's the sort of detail that we have to go in. And I think that we've got to make sure that we equip the goalkeeper with, or the players with, as much information as we can. In terms of stats, stats are good, and it gives you some sort of understanding. I think, I'll look at stats and they're good to see, and they probably reaffirm what you already know or what you thought, I guess. But I say the video thing is massive. The jump up did help because a lot of the players in the National League, as you know, are ex-pro or ex-Football League players, have played at a good level. There's more information about them. We talked about a couple of websites before that are used, and there's some great information on them on there. So I think that's part of the role. If I didn't do that sort of role when it comes to a Saturday, and there are things that probably could have told them that would have helped the performance or helped them in certain scenarios, then I don't think I'm doing my job properly. So it might not be the job of every goalie coach, and I know a lot probably lean on their analysts to give them the feedback or give them the last 5 penalties, for example. But at the minute, that's something that we don't have. So it's something I enjoy doing. And I think the goalkeepers at the club certainly benefit from having that.
How has that changed then over the time from you being at uni, doing courses, taking opportunities up at clubs and stuff like that? How has that changed then the importance of analysis at this level? Of course, obviously bigger leagues will have lots of resources, because even from what I can see now, especially over the last couple of years, as I mentioned, the websites where you can buy access to them, the amount of those that have popped up recently that cover the National League, which a few years ago you'd said you can get stats about headers and tackles and fouls and stuff like that. About the National League, you would have thought, yeah, it's a league, it's professional, or most teams are professional, a few part-times and stuff like that. You would have thought that's crazy, but now it's just like, that's normal. And that's one of the reasons why we did start up the Twitter page, is because we saw, well, these stats are here that we can get our hands on, and nobody's really doing anything with them. That's one of the reasons why we started it and why we're doing these types of things, these interviews now. But how has that changed then over perhaps past 5, 7 years from, at least when you've been involved?
Yeah, well, obviously at a level, and the level being either the National League South or the National League Prem, that's where you're sort of seeing the need for giving that information and looking at those stats and understanding sort of what we're doing well, what we're not doing well, what opposition are doing well, where they're going to harm us, what we need to be worried about. But there is certainly the element of we can worry about them, but we've got to worry about what we do as well. Any previous roles that I've had probably didn't really become applicable in terms of stats and things like that. And but yeah, certainly something that we will use. I use on a daily basis, looking at different things. Some stats are throwaway stats. That okay, that's good to know. Other than you want to explore a little bit more and understand if it leads directly to things in games. But I can't stress the video side of things. Not being able to send a scout to go and watch them and come back and give me this player, this does this. Being able to just sit and watch a game of a morning before training and be able to go in the evening, which is what we have to do at the minute, and tell the goalkeeper, right, set piece is going to be like this, or a video that we produce every week, which gives some information on the opposition, and they can come in on a Saturday or on a Tuesday, fully prepared to deal with whatever happens in that game and different scenarios that are going to face them.
And also, sort of going back on Woking, we talked about the playoffs obviously, but also FA Cup run as well. Again, what was that generally like? And must have been quite good for you to sort of obviously not. We normally ask sort of must have been quite good to test yourself against sort of players, but I imagine it must be good for your goalkeeper to test and sort of but also playing against some of these I don't know what leagues they're in, but that these are some professional players and high up levels that you're going to be able to. You probably already know a bit about some of the players already and stuff like that. So when you're, like I said, doing your analysis, but also coaching and stuff like that, being involved in that, what was that generally like, the FA Cup run?
Yeah, as I say, the club itself has a really good FA Cup tradition. The season before we got to the second round, we beat Bury away in a replay 3-0, which they were League One side at the time, and that was great to be involved in. We lost at Peterborough in the next round away after drawing at home. So, I was involved the year before, and that was like first real taste of the FA Cup for me. And then obviously we had the great FA Cup run the following season, where we got to the third round and played Watford. We beat Swindon away in the previous round. We won away at Torquay, who were in our league, but we won 1-0 there in the first round. And yeah, it was a fantastic time for the club, because the exposure that the FA Cup brings, and the giant killing, the win at Swindon was a great day. They were League Two, we were Conference South at the time. One of their ex-academy graduates scores the winning goal for us. So it was a fairy tale sort of time, and then to get drawn at home to a Premier League team was fantastic. And we equipped ourselves very well on the day, and the 6 divisions between us, or six tiers, is I think between the Premier League and the Conference South. So, it was a great day for the club. It was, it wasn't probably a game that anyone ever thought we were going to win, but, we packed the ground. It was sold out. It was, Watford again were fantastic in terms of, conducting themselves and whatnot. Their manager at the time was great for us, and it was just a fantastic day and experience, something to be involved in. The build up to the game was quite surreal. The TV cameras in training and things like that, something that obviously at this level is not, not the day-to-day thing, whereas actually, those sort of clubs are so used to those sort of things. We have Martin Tyler, who obviously famous commentators on our coaching staff, so he's used to that sort of thing. He's used to being the other side of the camera and going into clubs and looking at those sort of things before he commentates on games. So for him, it was a little bit normal, I guess. But, for us, it was certainly something very different. BBC had, filming some of your goalkeeper session and things like that. It was, but I say it was a fantastic thing. It was, it culminated in a really good day for the club. Obviously, we lost the game on the day, but it was far more than the result. It was putting Woking back on the map, and obviously after that, we had another job to get promoted, and obviously which we did. So, but yeah, it's great to be involved in. The FA Cup is a fantastic competition, and especially for clubs like ourselves, we've got quite a good tradition in it. But each year we want to be involved in those sort of giant killing games and give the opportunity to play against the best players in the world and the best players in the league or in the Premier League, which we did on that day.
You mentioned Martin Tyler there, which I did remember that when I saw Woking. I said, "Oh yeah, he's there," and I did forget about it. I was meant to put that down on my notes, so thanks for reminding me about that. I always thought that was weird. I always thought like, especially like his age, that was a weird sort of combination, being a commentator at his level and everyone's heard, all his stuff, and to be assistant manager, I think it says here, Woking, and being involved there with the coach. I'm not sure what his exact title is or whatever, but what's he like then? I mean, that must be pretty. You said it was pretty crazy. He was like, big game, normal. Funny enough, actually, I was in London. I don't know. I think there's a bit of beef about sort of Woking being considered part of London because it's that close. But I was in London at the time watching.
Yeah.
I don't want to start a war in the comments about that.
No, it's fine.
And we'll let them argue. But I was in London at the time watching Oldham beat Fulham, which go watch that game if anyone's seen it. Quite a good game. And I remember having a look afterwards, like some of the results coming. I was like, Woking. I'd personally not really heard of Woking, apart from in between as the joke in there, which I've never really heard of Woking. But I was like, that's quite good for them playing in that game or whatever. But for like I said, Martin Tyler. I'm generally asking, it's such a weird sort of thing where he's this big sort of commentator, like I said, and I don't pay that much attention to the Premier League anymore. We've all sort of heard his clips and stuff like that, and he's quite famous, to then sort of being just sort of a normal guy at Woking. Bit of a must be strange for you, but also strange for him.
Yeah, I mean, he's got a long history with the first team manager, Alan Dowse, as he's known, and they've been together for a long time at a number of clubs. So I think I think the manager, I think it was 13, 14 years ago, asked him to sort of help out on a local coaching level or working at a lower level, and he sort of said yes, and he's sort of been with him ever since. Martin himself is, he is a self-confessed Woking fan. He's certainly a bigger Woking fan than I am. From being a kid and growing up, around, not in Woking, but sort of in near area. So that's sort of for him coming, when the manager took the job and he had the opportunity to be part of his obviously coaching team. I think that was for him was a fantastic thing. But yeah, at first it was a little bit surreal, because again, you're used to the bloke who does Sky Sports and you watch him on a Sunday afternoon or you're playing FIFA or whatever game and he's on there. And then all of a sudden you're sitting in meetings with him, or you're sitting next to him in the dugout, and you're celebrating a goal with him or whatever. But it quickly becomes the norm, and he's very much part of the team. We have two assistant managers. We have him who is unbelievably able to fit Woking around his commitments. It's not often he misses a game for commitments, and not often he misses training. In the last couple of years, he's been at a majority of games. And then we have another assistant manager, Ian, who is certainly one of the best coaches that I've worked with, and work with each other, and we have quite a good strong group. But I say, yeah, at first it was very surreal working with someone like that, someone that you just used to hearing. But he's a great guy, and I say he's very much woken in his heart, and he is sort of coaching at a club that is his club, and the club that he's always supported. Unlike popular belief where everyone thinks he supports Man United one week and Liverpool the other, and he's very much a Woking fan, and it's great to be around.
I guess as well, it's just another one of the quirks of the National League where you get some of this. We've seen at Wrexham where they get taken over by Hollywood actors. Can't say I'd heard of them, but I've heard of Hollywood and I've heard some of the movies, even if I'm not a massive movie fan. So it's just another one of those weird things that happens with the National League where, you just look at it, it's like, why is that happening? But just how it is. And it's also that it's a reminder that these guys are normal people. I mean, just like you're a normal guy, I'm a normal guy, and you might get to some kind of position. But I guess people might even look at me and sort of ideas and think, how has he done that? And honestly, I say this might be giving my sort of secrets away, literally. And I just message people. And for someone like him, you just got involved with it. Like I said, you were nobody. And similar with him, he's just, a normal guy, Woking fan who, if he wasn't the commentator, he might probably still be doing the coaching as well at Woking. He'd just be just another guy. But because he's his commentator, who, at such a high level, at such a sort of, it's this contrast between two different worlds. But it's just to remember that they are just normal guys at the end of the day. And I think, so we covered, like I said, past that.
Yeah, I think that's the sort of the beauty of maybe our team and our club in the last couple of years, especially under the current manager, is we are part-time. We'd like to be full-time, and maybe in the near future hopefully that will happen, but at the minute we are part-time, and a lot of our boys do have jobs around, and we might play at, I know, Chesterfield on a Tuesday night, or I know we're going to Altrincham in a couple of weeks, and we'll get back at 1, 2 in the morning, and lads won't probably get into bed until 4 in the morning. They might have to be up at 9 again, and then we'll be back in training on Thursday night, and they've worked all day on a Thursday, and they're in, and then they're working all day Friday, and then they're coming in and playing a game on a Saturday and producing good performances. And last year we finished, albeit on a premature finish, finished mid-table 10th, which was a fantastic for a part-time club. We've got ambitions. We certainly have ambitions to be higher this year, and we want to be higher, whether that's possible or not. But again, we've got that beauty of actually, we're not going to give everyone a day off after a long trip, which the luxury of these full-time clubs maybe are able to do at the minute. Our boys, it's not up to us whether they have a day off. It's up to whether they've got to be in at work at 9 o'clock because their employer needs them in. So we've got that side, and again, Martin is another part of that, where it's like you said, it's the quirks of the non-league game, and like I said, the aspiration is to go full time, but we feel we're doing pretty well as a part-time outfit at the minute.
And like I said, talking about sort of part-time, well, just have a look at double-checking the league table, because it's quite hard to remember with all the different, teams who have played different number of games. It's a bit sort of different. To be where you are now, even if your full-time team would be amazing, you'd take that. But as a part-time team, you'd absolutely take that. And also you're up there with Torquay, you were up with a few years ago when you got promoted. I think I saw a Torquay fan posting that you always seem to be around them. I don't know if you've noticed that, around them in the table, whatever. So start to a season with 10 games in, you're up there in third. Guess you would have taken that start of the season?
Yeah, massively. Yeah, 100%. We're delighted where we are, and that probably, without being greedy, the only disappointment is there's games that we've lost that maybe we shouldn't have lost, and we've actually played well in. And there's other games where we have lost and we haven't played particularly well. But yeah. I think it's a great start for the club. Everyone knows the situation that a lot of the non-league and the National League clubs and higher level felt, coming into this season, with the uncertainty of obviously the crowds coming back in and when that will happen, and the financial side of things. And we were very late to recruiting players because we wanted to do things properly and make sure that we had the right money and didn't overspend and didn't offer players something that we couldn't fulfill, and we did lose out on a lot of our players that did really well for us last year because of that. So that was a massive task for the manager, and to bring in find the players that were going to be able to do that for us. And, it's massive credit to them for where we are in the league right now. And, it's important that we don't get too high, that we're third and we're doing well. And obviously, as you mentioned, clubs have, it's very distorted at the minute because, we haven't, until this weekend up, we haven't been affected by postponements or we're meant to be playing Macclesfield this weekend. Unfortunately, obviously they're not now in the league, so we have a weekend off. But there's been lots of teams that have missed games for COVID reasons, which obviously is going to happen, and no doubt it will affect us probably at some point. But so it's not 100% representation, but we're certainly pleased. We've had a good last week and picked up 7 points from 9 games, so we're massively pleased with that. And we've got a weekend not off, but we've got a weekend with no game, and we look forward to Tuesday night. And we've got to keep the run going. Like I said, you don't want to get too high because last year we started the season unbelievably well. We were top for 10 at this stage. Last year we were top of the league and we were flying. And then we seemed to hit a bit of a brick wall, and whether that was we got a little bit too high for ourselves, and I'm not too sure. But we then went on a bit of a run where we ended up leveling out in the middle of the table, and that's something that we can't do this year. And we need to make sure that we keep the boys focused and we remain on doing what we do well, and picking up points, because that's ultimately the end of the table that we want to be around. And there's no reason why we can't be around the top half of the table.
That's the important bit to stress, really, is that teams have played some 10, some 9, 7 or whatever number of games. So it is not a fair representation compared to if you'd all played 10 games and 9 games. But just having a quick look, 17 points from 10 games. So, you're looking at around near that sort of just under 2 points per game. Points per game was obviously big last season, but just in general, points per game. That says just under 2 points per game, you're going to be up there near top end of the table. But also depends on how other clubs do. And other clubs, like you said, the Macclesfield effect that every team guaranteed will miss a week. Then you've got games being called off because of the rules and stuff like that, with testing and stuff like that. So it will mess up sort of runs and stuff like that a bit. So it might be a bit hard to compare so far. I think we've had a lad on who said that it's I won't look at the table until 20 games because it's going to be that messed up or whatever. But you are up there. And listen, I know I'm not going to ask you this because I know what you're thinking. Any team can theoretically go up if you're in the league. But if you've not lost your first 10 games or whatever, and you get points and you're sort of near there and gain a decent number of points, so it's realistically possible that you could go up. But also any teams could go up, something like that. So for that to happen then, would be pretty crazy for a part-time team to get up there and even be sort of in and around the playoffs just outside would be an amazing achievement and stuff like that. I guess the dream would be, like I said, if you did go up, you'd have to become full-time as the rules or something. That is the dream, isn't it? To be full-time. And, and for the lads as well, they could then drop their jobs and become full-time and, with the wages and stuff like that. That is a dream.
It is a dream. It's a personal dream. I think it's a management team dream, and I think for a lot of the boys who have been at the club for the last couple of years or with the manager for maybe longer at previous clubs, I think that's certainly a dream for those guys and ones we have now that are currently part-time. We've got quite a few boys that have been full-time in the past, but there's quite a few of them that maybe haven't and, really want that experience in their career. And, I'm certainly, one that is desperately would love to be full-time and, will that time come? Hopefully in the near future. But yeah, look, just going back to the points, I think, 1.7 points a game isn't bad. I think it probably would put you sort of around the playoff positions maybe. And that's, there's a lot of football to be played. You said, maybe it's not worth looking at the table for a bit, but, every week we're around the top half and we're getting results. We're pleased with that. I think that maybe I might be wrong, but the last part-time team to get in the playoffs was Braintree a few years ago, maybe under Danny Cowley possibly at the time. I might be wrong there, but so that is sort of an ambition, something inside that maybe we can do that. But we're very much just focused on picking up the next points. If we finish outside the bottom 4, have we had a good season? I think so. On our financial side and the budget we have, and the restrictions that sort of were placed on all teams, but even more so on us from last year and whatnot. So if we finished outside the relegation zone, yes, that would be a good season. But the way we've started, do we want to push on? Yeah, for sure.
There we go, and that's sort of just about sort of Wokin's start to this season. I would ask, like I said, I would ask for predictions, but I think I'll let you play it down a bit now and just see how it goes. I say this to everyone. I hope you go up, but it can't always happen. If I say it to every single team, then it'll work out in the end. We've got some sort of general questions, just sort of no Twitter ones this week. Sometimes you get some, sometimes you don't. What's Woking like as a place to live, living around there, being around the place? I've heard there's a nice Pizza Express down that way.
That got a bit of publicity, didn't it? Yeah, I enjoy living I've lived in Woking all my life, bar sort of 3 years where I moved away for university. So I enjoy living here. It's got everything. This is where my place of work. It's the football club that I enjoy. It's not far from London. It's an easy commute in. So that's where people want to be around. I think, I think if you live here, then people often talk negatively about it. That it's not the greatest place, but I think actually, it's got a lot to offer. I think there's lots of new things happening. And again, the football club is a massive part of that, and wants to be a massive part of the community. Whether it's what we do at first team level, and I can't speak highly enough of our manager who puts himself out there for anyone and will do anything for anyone, or whether our community department, which is second to none and fantastic and won many national awards because they want to be involved in the community. But I say Woking as a place, it's all I've really known. It's not me wanting to just stay around home. It's it's where I've managed to find work, and as we touched on earlier, working at your my club. Again, I do support another team, but we won't talk about them. But my local team, it is great to to be involved with that.
Yeah. Jay Cartwright from the In Between has said, obviously, conference to Champions League in 5 years. You got a job in England set up, supposedly. What are the odds of that happening with Woking?
6 years, I reckon.
Was it 6 years? Was it 5 years? Something like that. I ain't watched it for years.
I say it will take 6 years. Yeah. I think I think there is ambition there. Certainly from the management and the players. I think that's probably a little bit far away. But yeah, look, I say we're ambitious. We want to see where we can take the club, and I think this year, can we consolidate ourselves in the National League? I believe we can, and can we do anything more going forward next year? Let's see what happens.
Yeah, I think actually couldn't you do it in 3 years? If you win the FA Cup, get to Europa League, win Europa League, you get champions. You could do it in about 3 years or something like that, but unrealistic.
Well, we're at the FA Cup, so we'll have to start again next year.
Have to start again, yeah. Although it could happen. I don't know if that would. I don't know if they let a part-time team in the Champions League. I don't know if they let you do that. So
I think by the time we'd won the Europa League, I think we'd have to be full-time by then.
Yeah, something like that. We'll see. I hope a team does that one day, just because that'd be a nice, quirky thing, but it's not going to happen.
They'd take away the Europa League, goes into Champions League or something like that. That's what they do.
I think the only chance you had of something like that would have been Salford. If they put in too much money and they signed loads of Championship players or something, if they went too silly with it, then you might have got something a bit crazy like that. That's the closest you would have got.
Clubs Crawley have done it. They've gone into League One, haven't they? I think they got back to back. Lincoln are flying at the top of, League One at the minute. They're a club that, well, not so long ago were in the National League. So, I think there's opportunities for clubs to do it, certainly.
Especially with lots of clubs, I mean, some in your league already now that have dropped down the leagues massively, two or three relegations in a row. That gives you plenty of opportunity to go up. And listen, anything can happen. You just try your best. And, like I said, if you get into the Football League, then you can nail down that position. Then, it builds the club up and moves them up the ladder within London. And, within the London area, I should say, before I know more fans. Listen, just a line, isn't it, really? I don't know. I think the reference I'm making is I saw a video by a guy who called Jay Foreman, who does lots of stuff about London, like geography and stuff like that, which I should know my geography about London, but, And he had an argument with someone who was saying Woking is in London. He was like, no, it's not in London, and stuff like that. So I guess that's why. I think it depends where you draw the line. I guess we've got something similar up here with a place called Saddleworth, which is just out on. It's within Greater Manchester technically, but they don't. Some of them up there don't really like that. So, yeah, bit of beef there. We'd normally ask about playing and stuff like that, but what in terms of you obviously coaching? What's the best player you've been involved with in a game when you're coaching?
What opposition player?
Opposition player, yeah.
Well, I'm going to have to say probably a Watford player, aren't I?
Mm.
Well, Deeney came on. He was very good when he came on in the second half. I'll go left field. Dominguez Quina played in that game. He was superb. Young player. I think he's in their first team now. He was different class that day. He's a very good player. Probably one of those players, I'd imagine.
Yeah, would be one of the Watford ones, wouldn't it? That's probably
definitely
the best one. Usually it's something like an FA Cup game or something that usually answers to that. Best stadium you'd have coached in them when there's been an actual game. I don't mean sort of as a friendly or something, not a friendly, sorry, like a youth team game or something like that, because sometimes they say that. So sort of first team game.
Notts County is pretty impressive. I know they're in our league. They're pretty impressive. Outside of that, we were at Gillingham this year. We've been at Bury, Peterborough. But yeah, Notts County is pretty impressive. I would like to see if we played there with a good crowd in there, make a hell of a noise.
Moment in your career when you thought, what on earth am I doing here? This is not what I sort of signed up for, where it's something crazy. Might be something where the media team sort of asked you to do something a bit crazy, dress up or something, or just something where the situation you thought...
Yeah, I've got a good one, yeah. We did we did a terrible Christmas charity song. Do They Know It's Christmas? We did a Woking version. And it was pretty shocking, but it was a laugh. And it was raising money for a good cause. We played Billericay, who were a bit of rivals back then in the league, away, and they played it on the PA, our version, before the game. And a lot of the lads obviously took exception. We ended up whacking them 4-0, which was a bit funny in the end, because that was again, it was all fun and done in jest, but yeah, that was a crazy thing. I didn't think I'd be doing.
Was that when you played them? I weren't familiar with the game with Billericay. I weren't familiar with that story. Was that when they had the guy? What's his name? The guy with the lion. You know the one. I mean, the guy who was on Twitter. I think he's
Glenn Tamplin. Yeah,
so
name. that was the home. Yeah, it all went off a little bit in the home game. We played them at home and we beat them 2-1. And I'm not sure what really happened afterwards, to be honest. But there was a lot of Twitter spat after that. But that was the away fixture. We played them just to say, I think it was just literally the last game before Christmas, and we just released this sort of charity song, which was absolutely murder to your ears. But they thought it'd be funny to play it, and I think it riled up a few of the boys after hearing that through the PA.
Yeah, sort of backfired on them. That's all I know. When I think of Billericay now, all I think is that guy on Twitter who used to sort of rant and stuff like that. That's all I know. But he's moved on now, so I hope they can sort of do well. Sort of touched on this before, and it is involved with what you're doing, but advice for young players coming into the game, whether that be obviously you doing goalkeeping, just in general, young players from what you've seen.
Enjoy yourself, have fun, play games, try different things. We took all things we brushed on earlier. I think if the enjoyment's not there, then it's not going to last long. You're not going to play for long. Enjoy it, experience different things, whether it be a positional thing, whether it's a sport thing in general or whatnot. But I think that's the most important thing. I think you never could get, I think you have some of your best experiences at grassroots level playing, with your mates, enjoy them. I can think of great experiences we had, not even at a young age, at maybe 13, 14, 15, not being involved in an academy, but just playing, a good level of grassroots football with friends and just really enjoying that and making some good memories. So I think that's an important thing, at that age, you're not worrying about, can I make a career of it? It's just about, can you go and enjoy yourself and have fun and improve yourself, develop and see where you can take yourself.
Yeah, over your course of your career so far, of course, you'd have been lots of different clubs, I've had lots of different opportunities to do different things. People normally take this question as one thing you regret. It's not so much that. It's saying, if you had a time machine, you could go back and change a moment to see what that alternate timeline was. What moment would you change and what do you think that timeline was? And I'm not necessarily saying that's going to be a regret. It could be something getting better, could be something getting worse, whatever, just to sort of see what that timeline was. Just say, I wonder if I, if I joined this team or left at this point, or, you talked about the analysis where you said, I wonder if I told him to, do this or done this analysis or whatever. Perhaps even like knowledge you have now that you wish you would have had then, that might sort of change something.
Probably, again, I think I brushed on earlier, just not a regret, but during my time in the academy at Woking, and to be honest, it's something I use to this day when I coach the boys, and something I'll drop in a conversation with them, is that I don't think I probably gave it 100% all of the time. I was there for 2 years, and I thought I did all right. And you mentioned yourself, you saw a picture of me. We won a trophy. I was captain. I think it was one of my last games at the club. But did I really, really give myself the best opportunity for them to say, right, we want to keep you. We want to give you an opportunity. Would it have paid off? Who knows? But did I really, really push myself for that? Yeah, again, it's not a regret, because that happened, things happen, and now I've got an opportunity and a job, and it's not a job, it's not work, it's just what I do, and it's what I love doing. So that maybe that wouldn't have happened if things would have been different. But yeah, that's probably something. And again, it's something I use to this day to speak to the boys and say, yeah, I was in your position, not just as an academy player at a non-league club, but at this club, and I maybe didn't work as hard, or a little bit of a niggle, so I'm going to sit out for a couple of weeks or a week, and I'm not going to put myself out of there, which I should have, and that's what I encourage the boys to do now. So yeah, look, that's probably be the one. Yeah,
I guess it's also, if you had tried a bit more, and we can all look back and say, I wish we'd have tried this better or whatever, just in anything, but it might have put you in that awkward middle position where you were just sort of good enough to be, oh, I'm going to go down the playing career, even if it was lower non-league or whatever. But then that means that you wouldn't have then gone on to coaching or whatever, compared to, if you'd been a player, you would have had a playing career at a much higher, let's say you had made it to a much higher level, then you would have retired and gone into coaching. So it might put you in that middle position where you might not have been able to do either. So it sort of maybe worked out better in the end, that you sort of went, that's the thing we want to nail down from relatively young age.
I think the football career was not ever going to be, that was quite apparent. It was not going to be the thing, even at maybe, a good non-league level, as I say. And then when the coaching becomes serious, it was like, right, well, I'm not even, I don't have the time to even play at a semi-decent level or a lower level of non-league football, like you say. The coaching becomes a full-time thing that you got to give 100% to, and you can't sort of juggle playing games and training in the week with sort of trying to improve and develop, and doing the hours coaching. It's, you're working evenings, you're working weekends, so how are you going to play? So yeah, look, that's really, I mean, again, it was a great experience in my life, and obviously something that I can now use with the boys I work with on a day-to-day basis. But obviously something that, was just how I was back then. That's, was something that obviously I didn't take the opportunity that maybe I was given. But again, it like you said, it works out in different ways. And
like you said, guess in the end sort of worked out better for you, because now it's what you're doing. But that's career so far, of course. We could be sat here chatting again in 12 months. Woking have got promoted, are in League Two. Could also be sat here where you've got relegated. And if anything could really happen. So
if we get promoted, I'll come back on. If we get relegated, I won't.
I think if you got relegated, we'd definitely get a lot of Twitter questions again. So
yeah.
I don't blame you for that. So like I said, anything could be happening. So like I said, we say to anyone wants to come back on, then they're more than welcome to and have a chat and can speak about that season then in detail or whatever. That'd be quite cool to go over. Or unless you get relegated and it's lost. That'd be pretty boring. But speaking of Woking, then we'll wrap this up now. Message for Woking fans for this season.
Well, hopefully we see you sooner rather than later. I think they've been really pleased with how we started, but it's important that we keep that going. But we've certainly missed the support from the fans while they haven't been around. So the sooner we can get you back in, I know there's been obviously announcements, in the last couple of days that's looking more and more likely, and it'd be great to have the fans back in. We've got a good fan base. Support home and away. Obviously, the away probably won't happen, but their support is needed. The boys, certainly appreciate their support, and through these difficult times, it's been good to know that they're still with us, watching on the TV streams and things like that. But yeah, look, we can't wait to have them back in the ground. We've got some big games, a busy month for December coming up, and I think hopefully, in the next couple of weeks we'll have them, back and supporting the boys. So hopefully that will happen. And yeah, looking forward to seeing everyone.
Yeah, I want to say thanks for coming on, taking time out. I think it's probably one of the longer ones we've done, maybe went over a bit, but you got a lot of stuff to talk about. You got a career, obviously, but also just general stuff you do. So it went quite over, which I think might make it a two-parter. I don't know. We'll see. You if you're watching this now, you'll know if it's a two-parter. But yeah, just that. Thanks for watching. And we've also got some other ones. I'm not going to name them. I normally name them. I can't remember all the names now. So there's a playlist where you can go and have a watch, and even if it's not your team, it's still interesting to sort of learn about the players. And my dog's just coming now. I locked him out, but yeah, just in general, like I said, we've got some other ones, so go over watch in the description. And just, yeah, thanks in general, mate, for taking time out. And like I said, hopefully, come back on in 12 months when Woking got promoted.
Sounds good to me. Thanks for having me on.
Cheers.